What's your emergency?
Welcome back to That Weewoo Show, a podcast where we watch and discuss episodes of the ABC show 911. I'm Ellen.
I'm Alice.
And I'm Bex.
Thanks, as always, to everyone who has been listening to our episodes, and we really appreciate all of your support and enthusiasm for this great show that we're watching. Or sometimes great, always funny, or sometimes dark, whatever. We love it, and we're glad that you love it too. Alice, catch us up on what happened last week on 911.
So last week on 911, the 118 were mixed up in a bank heist. Lots of fun, but during the investigation into Bobby, the fire chief and LAPD discovered some irregularities in Bobby's file and suspended him pending a full inquiry.
Oh my God, that's right. We had that awful cliffhanger.
We did indeed.
So in this episode, we're going to do we pretty much pick up after? No, we don't, do we?
Not quite, no.
Not quite. So we finish Ocean's 911 with Chief Alonzo suspending Bobby. And then, thematically, we pick up on the same thread. In this week's episode, which is called Bobby Begins Again. Because they can't really call it Bobby Begins because we've kind of already had the Begins episode.
Yeah, we did that already.
Yeah. We're doing it again.
We are doing it again.
Bobby Begins Part 2.
And this episode first aired in April 29th of 2019. And the official summary says, Bobby reflects back on how he moved to Los Angeles after his devastating family tragedy in Minnesota. He moves to Los Angeles to start over, where he becomes captain of the 118 and meets Athena Grant for the first time.
And a bunch of other people. And
I mean,
yeah, everyone else as well.
There's other stuff that happens. I don't know that meeting Athena is the highlight of.
That's obviously the highlight of his entire LA experience.
I mean, it's the highlight now, I guess, because they're an item. But
I mean, I guess the first time he gives her his cock is probably going to be a highlight.
Do you reckon they ever discuss that?
Maybe.
I don't know.
When did you think that I was the one? Yeah, when you handed me your cock that night.
Oh no. Okay, apologies
Fair
in advance.
warning,
Yeah, this
dear
episode.
listener, there are going to be a lot of cock jokes.
There's going to be so many cock jokes. We're sorry. We're
yeah,
not really
absolutely not sorry.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
sorry.
Sorry, not sorry for what I said. Okay. But cock jokes aside, other triggers for this episode, because it is Bobby's backstory, there is going to be some pretty heavy triggers. We're going to have structure fires, including a flashback to the apartment fire from episode 105. We're going to have some explicit shots of burn victims, death of minor characters, alcohol abuse, an alcoholic character relapsing, implied animal abuse, which is the cockfighting, suicidal ideation, and an extreme allergic reaction. Not entirely sure why that's on the trigger list, but I'm going to say it anyway, just in case.
I mean, it was pretty gnarly.
It was pretty gnarly, but I wonder how many people have actually had that situation happen to them that it is going to be a trigger. But
better safe than
as
sorry,
we said last
yeah.
week, we prefer to over-tag than under-tag.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, so this episode, it starts out really dark, you get gut punched right out of the gate. But then as we go on, the mood gradually kind of lightens up. So it ends up in a, fairly, I thought as I was going into this episode and we got the beginning scenes, I was like, oh my God, maybe I should not watch this now when I am not in a place where I can watch a really heavy episode. But as it went on, I was, it lightened up enough that it was fine. I was engaged with the story rather than just bawling my eyes out the whole way through.
Mm.
So
yeah, you didn't sob the whole time.
No, just the beginning where
just the beginning.
Yeah. So the episode opens with an empty room. It's concrete walls, two windows set up high. It's very plain, and there is a folding chair smack bang in the center. And Bobby in full dress uniform walks in, sits down in the chair facing the camera, so that he is the only thing we see. And we hear a voice off camera say, "Please state your name for the record," and we discover that Bobby's full name is Robert Wade Nash.
Yeah, why are they interrogating him in like a cell? Like he's not in jail. It's just like a blank kind of empty room.
It's a very interesting choice because it is like it's a deposition or it's some kind of questioning, yet it looks like he's in a prison cell.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you would think it'd be like around a table type thing, but no, it's like it feels like there should be like a swinging light over the top that they're like shining into his eyes.
Which I guess maybe is meant, it's the atmosphere. It's maybe how Bobby feels going into it.
And we never see the people. Yeah, it is reflective of his state of mind, I guess, because we never see the people who are asking him the questions, and he's just sitting there very exposed, very kind of, he's got his hands on his knees and he's like, you know, closed off kind of thing.
I also wasn't sure when this episode started which Bobby we were getting at this point of time. Was this Minnesota Bobby or was this LA Bobby?
Yeah, that's not clear.
Because the very next thing we see after Bobby states his name is we get a 911 call, which is Marcy calling from the Lakeside Apartments in Minnesota 5 years ago. So you could think that the Bobby that's being interrogated is past Bobby.
Yeah.
So we get a bit of a rerun of the fire in the Lakeside Apartments, but with some extra added gut punches, because I didn't go back and check, but I don't think that when we got the 911 calls in that episode that we got Brooke on the recording.
No, we didn't.
Saying that she was scared, and Marcy saying, "It's okay, Daddy's coming."
Oh, this is the point where I was like, oh my God, this episode is going to destroy me because,
yes.
It's so sad.
Yeah, super sad.
So we went through Bobby waking up on the roof of the apartment block to the sound of sirens, running downstairs, trying to get into the apartment, the floor collapsing underneath him trying to climb back up, and the firefighters dragging him out of the apartment.
Yeah. They're on the ground, like outside the apartment, and the firefighters are still trying to hold him back when he's trying to go back in, but he says, my family are in there. I need to get them out. And then he sees, the firefighter sees, or whoever is trying to stop him says, you know, let me see your hands, and his hands are all burned up and like the skin's all off them.
Yeah, they're trying to treat Bobby, and he's just not about it. Like he just wants to go back in to get to his family and his kids.
But he sees someone they've pulled out of the building, and it's Marcy, and he sees that it's her, and he like runs over and it's like, that's my wife, you got to let me through. And
this scene is awful.
Yeah.
So he tries to get to the ambulance, and he recognizes one of the firefighters who is milling around near the ambulance. And that firefighter who we get is Phil, immediately tells Bobby to go to Marcy. And you can see for a split second Bobby is about to climb into the ambulance after her, but then he remembers the kids. And Phil tells him, Bobby, she's alive. You got to focus on that. And you just know from the emphasis that he puts on she that they got Marcy out, but the kids didn't make it. And he's trying really hard to get Bobby to focus on Marcy and get in the ambulance before he sees what happens next, which is the firefighters bringing Brooke and Bobby Jr. out of the building and putting them in that tarpaulin area, which is the makeshift morgue, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bobby just sobs. It's so heartbreaking. They sort of make him get in the ambulance, and
almost like shove him into the ambulance and then slam the doors shut, and Phil bangs on the doors before Bobby can realise what they've done, and the ambulance starts driving off. And the last shot we see is an overhead shot of the ambulance driving up and these two little bodies with white sheets covering them on the black tarpaulin.
Interestingly, I'm not going to say fun fact because it's not fun. I was sort of keeping like notes as I watched 911, and I believe Bobby's kids are the only kids that they actually kill ever in the show.
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot of kids that are in danger, but they always like manage to save them last minute.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, like going in, it's good but yeah, it just makes this even worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was a part of his backstory, so we knew that it had to be dealt with, I guess. We had to see it at some point, but...
That's a good point. So they are children, but we never kind of knew them alive.
Yeah, that's it. Like,
we've never had that horrible moment of, oh my God, are they going to make it out alive? Because we know they're never going to make it out alive.
Exactly, yeah. And it's interesting from a storytelling perspective. It's also interesting that Lone Star does the same thing. The only kids that have died on Lone Star as well have been in flashbacks.
Right.
That must be an edict handed down from the showrunners. Like, thou shalt not kill children.
Unless it's in a flashback, in which case kill all of the children.
I mean, it's still very sad, but I
yeah,
think
it's interesting.
The impact is slightly less because we knew that it was going to come. Maybe not. So next we are at the hospital where Marcy is still alive. Bobby is there with her, but she's like sitting. He's standing outside this plastic sheeting.
She's in a clean room. So she's very, very badly burned.
Yeah, she's burned all over her. So
except that she's covered in bloody bandages.
Don't look very sterile.
No, like the bandages are covered in blood, and like I was watching this one. This was another one that my mum sat in on because of like she sat in on the first Bobby Begins. So clearly she just wants to see all the Bobby Beginses. And she's sitting there and she's just like, didn't she get burnt? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, why is she covered in blood? Because fire immedately cauterizes everything.
Yeah,
I can imagine that there might be like a bit pussy, perhaps, if there were blisters that broke, but it shouldn't
weepy, but there shouldn't be blood.
No.
So it's a weird costume choice, but
I also found it very interesting that she is heavily burned except for one side of her face.
Yeah, just the face that Bobby's looking at.
The side of the face that Bobby is looking at is perfect, is untouched, and it's the side the priest that's looking at is fully burned. So yeah, she is in a clean room. Bobby is on one side of the bed. There is a priest administering last rites on the other side, which, cheery.
Yeah.
Or what I am assuming is last rites.
It sounds like last rites, yeah.
It does, and I don't think there is any kind of... I don't believe anybody in that room thinks that Marcy is getting out of that clean room anytime soon.
No.
But she wakes up. So she starts trying to talk, and the priest has to get Bobby's attention, and Bobby's sort of reassuring her that he's right there, it's going to be okay, but all Marcy says is, where are the kids?
And you can see Bobby sort of force a smile onto his face and go, the kids are fine, they're safe. He's lying through his teeth to her, and she says, as she stabs him in the heart and twists a little bit, but she goes, I knew you would come and save us. And those are her last words before she dies. A code team is immediately called and runs in, but we know that they're not successful. They don't get to bring her back.
Another thing that my mum said is they wouldn't call a code for that because they already knew that she was...
Yeah, she was on the way
beyond
out
saving.
kind of thing.
Yeah, so there's no need to call like 5 people into the room.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, poor Bobby. He just... You can see his heart breaking all over again.
As a reminder to everybody, not only did he not save them, but he was the one who put them in danger to start with.
Yeah.
Accidentally, not at all intentionally, but
It was his space heater.
it was his space heater.
Yeah, I think
That started the fire.
the bits of this time that we see are not direct repeats of what was in the previous episode. They're like, it starts...
This is after.
Yeah, it started immediately after the fire was lit, and he woke up on the roof and...
We do get the little bits of the roof and the hallway. And
the hallway,
lifted.
You're right, yes.
That's directly lifted from 105, but the rest of it, is the aftermath of the fire.
Yeah.
Which we didn't see the first time around.
But, like, the way... Because they talk about it later, but, like, the amount of building codes that were violated, like, if it wasn't Bobby, it would have been... Like, it was inevitable that this place was going to go up in flames at some point.
Yeah.
Yes. Phil, who we find out is the chief of the Minnesotan Fire Department, goes through quite a list of everything that was wrong with the apartment building a little bit later. And, it was a catastrophe waiting to happen.
Yeah. Like, of course, Bobby's going to feel awful and feel guilty and feel like he...
Yeah, well, I mean, he was directly responsible for it, even if it was a bunch of other stuff that failed to stop the fire later. But after the title card, we get a complete change of tone and lighting. Like, suddenly everything is very bright. They're in Bobby's apartment or at home, I guess, their apartment, the family. And Bobby Jr. and Brooke are suddenly running into the kitchen. Bobby's cooking dinner and...
Yeah, he's cooking a fine ragu of assorted vegetables.
Yes. Pulled fresh from the Midland soil by people who then sold them to me for money. And then Marcy says, "Wow, Chef Nash, I like the ring of that, And she gives him a kiss, and Brooke, who channels all children everywhere, sees this and goes, ew, like my children do as well.
Aww.
They sit down to have dinner, which Bobby has made a lot of food for all four of them. But
he does that. He seems to overcook for people.
I mean, I'm all for leftovers, but...
Yeah. I mean, the way Bobby kind of cooks, it looks like he'd be cooking, twice a week, and they're eating leftovers for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a dream, so
he's
maybe...
not really cooking, yeah.
True.
But yeah, so Bobby says grace, they start, like, passing the bowls of food around, and Bobby's, like, watching unhappily, but then Marcy looks at Bobby, and, like, the sound starts distorting, we hear a man's voice, and Marcy says, "You have to go." Bobby's like, I don't want to.
Gets very ominous. There's lightning flashing. The light starts to change. The man is asking if Captain Nash can hear him, and just repeating, like, "Captain Nash, can you hear me, Captain Nash?" And Bobby apologizes to Marcy, and Brooke asks if Bobby is okay, and Marcy says, "He's fine, honey. We will see him soon. I promise."
Oh, my heart.
The gist of this scene is that Bobby's pretty much drunk himself to death. And St. Paul... It is St. Paul, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm so used to saying LAFD. He went to a bar, he got himself drunk, and the ambulance was called to shock him back to reality.
Like, if you wanted to do this, a bar probably wasn't the best place. It's a bit public, but,
And the first thing he does when he wakes up is grab Phil, who is now in full captain's dress uniform, standing over him and screaming at him, "Why did you bring me back? I was there with them." So we've kind of got the origin of Bobby's suicidal tendencies and the the reason that he's so adamant that if he dies, he is going to be reunited with his family.
And they get him out of there, and Phil tells them to not say his name on the radio.
Keep his name off the damn radio.
Yeah.
And then there's a little interesting cut which shows a folder that says the fire incident report for the Lakeview Apartments. So the implication is that Bobby has read the report, and that's what kind of tipped him over the edge. It sent him into a death spiral in the bar.
So then we go to a hospital room, and Bobby's in the bed, not looking great, and
yeah, it's hard to see him like this, where we're used to seeing him being really stoic and sure and, like, you know, standing man emoji type guy, and now he's beaten. He looks like rough as hell. He's like lying in the bed, frowny faced.
So I guess kudos to Peter Krause for his acting abilities.
Yeah, well, he's actually showing some emotion,
he's got some range.
Yeah, like, yeah.
But yeah, he asks if he's fired, and Phil says, for what, being an alcoholic? Because pick a day, I'll point you to 10 church basements and you'll see some familiar faces. But then he says, I guess you read the report. And they cleared Bobby. So Bobby confessed to, like, killing the people, and they cleared him.
Yeah.
Which is where we get the laundry list of everything that was wrong with the Lakeview Apartments. So the circuit breaker for the space heater didn't trip. The water supply failed to supply water to the sprinklers. The building alarms had dead batteries and no electrical backup. And on and on and on.
Yeah, so I'm guessing he's getting out of this without a criminal charge or anything, like...
His punishment is, as Phil said, that he survived, that he lived.
Yeah. So he starts attending AA meetings. We've obviously gone a bit forward in time, because he's talking about how when he first came there, he was alone. He's now got a sponsor, and
he's giving a little speech about how he's, you know, if you can make the ocean stay still, then you're God. But if you can't do that, then just accept that you don't have any power over anything and just roll with it, you know? Like, yeah.
That's pretty much the tenet of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Isn't that the mantra that they have? You know, the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to...
change the things I don't even know what over.
But yeah, it's basically to recognize that there are some things that I can change and there are some things that I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we cut to after the Alcoholics Anonymous meeting where Bobby and his sponsor are catching up, and we get the first sighting of Bobby's little brown book of names.
Yeah.
Oscar, his sponsor, says that Bobby has been working the steps and he's about to come up to a difficult one. Here is something for when you get there. And it's that little brown book that we saw Bobby with all through season 1. And on the inside of the book is a note that says that it is for step 8 of the 12 steps. And Bobby reads it out. And it says that we make a list of all the persons we harmed, and we become willing to make amends to all of them.
Yeah, it's Bobby's book begins.
Yes. So that kind of explains why he's got this little book, and why he throughout season 1 he is numbering off every person that he saves.
Yeah, because he can't exactly make...
He can't make amends to the people that he killed.
Yeah.
So that's where he comes up with his plan to save 148 people to make up for the 148 people that he killed.
Yeah.
So then we cut to Phil's office, and Bobby drops his chip on Phil's desk and says 6 months. Phil's like, yep, cool, fantastic, keep at it, we can start a poker game, what's next?
So unserious.
Yeah. Does not care.
Yeah, he's not like, congratulations or anything, he's just like,
yeah,
whatever.
And Bobby's like, yep, cool, I need to go back to work. like real work, because he's still riding the desk. And Phil says that he doesn't think that Bobby's ready for it.
Bobby explains his plan. He needs to save 148 people to balance his debt, and he can't do that while he's riding a desk. And then Phil says to him, like, you might be ready to get back out there, but nobody else is. It's going to take a while for the rest of the crews to be comfortable walking through a fire with you watching their back.
It's a bit harsh,
Which
Phil.
is, it's very harsh.
Yeah.
But I guess we have to remember that, like, the fire started because Bobby was an addict and he was coming to work high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not, I guess, it's not so much that he started a fire that killed people, it's that he was, like, off his tits on Oxy during a shift.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and, like,
probably
how are any
what
of them
people-
going to trust that he's actually
Sober
sober?
when he's working, yes.
Yeah, so he begs Phil to send him somewhere else because he's got to make a fresh start, you know. Send me someplace
Yeah,
where I
literally
can atone
dart
for
in a
what I've
map.
done.
So yeah, he doesn't
Which
care
is-
where, he just wants to get out.
Which was the part that, like I said, all of these Bobby episodes rolled into one, so I assumed that we already knew this part
Yeah.
about Phil sending Bobby off to LA to get him out of Minnesota. But I had already seen it because I've seen these series so many damn times, but I forgot that we only saw this for the first time in this episode.
Yeah.
So
So that's what he does.
Yeah.
Phil sends him off to Los Angeles.
yeah, we get some Hollywood music.
Sends him to the island of misfit toys, which is somewhat ironic.
But we do finally get to see some familiar faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hen's walking around Station 118 with, like, a box, and and she goes, $20 goes in, $100 pays out. So they're betting to see how long the new captain's going to last.
Yeah, because we find out that they have had 6 captains in 2 years.
Who do you think is responsible for...
Oh, it's Hen. Hen and Sal. Hen and Sal, totally.
Yeah. It's too many
Because you
strong-willed
kind of-
people.
Well, because you kind of, over the course of the 2 Gerard episodes and then this one, Tommy just kind of follows what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
He's just a tag along. Chim does everything he can to make nice and keep the peace.
Mm-hmm.
Hen is the one pushing.
Oh, yeah.
And Sal just wants to do what Sal wants to do. So, yeah, those two are definitely Hen, but both Hen and Sal, 100%, they are the reason that these captains are just like, fuck it, no. I'm done. Which is kind of... I do feel a little bit bad because I do love Hen so much, but man, she must be a trial if she doesn't like you.
Yeah.
Hen is collecting money, betting on how long the new captain of the 118 is going to last. Sal is pretty sure he's only going to last a week because the guy is from Nebraska. And Chim kind of chirps up and says, oh, he's from Minnesota, actually. Sal doesn't care. He says there's New York, there's LA, and then in between there's Nebraska. And he's pretty confident that if a barn burns down or a road needs salting, then the new guy's going to be great. But LA is going to look like Mars to this podunk. At that point, the sirens on the engine, on the ladder truck, chirp, and Bobby jumps out of the cab. And Sal's last words were that LA's going to look like Mars and we're fresh out of training wheels. And Bobby adds, you're also out of half of the supplies that should be stocked in this truck. So he puts $20 in the pool and says, what are the odds on me lasting longer than any of you?
And they're all like...
And traitor that he is,
"Damn."
Chim's just like, I've got 20 on the Viking.
Yeah, I love Chim so much.
then we cut to Bobby's first day. And I know that I was either getting the music supervisor taken out back and shot or awarding them a medal in the last episode. No, in Broken, for their on the nose use of REM. But I think I am going to award them that medal because the montage starts with Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train, and it just it fits so perfectly, and the music supervisor and the editor have worked together really well so that what's happening on screen matches up with the song, and I really enjoy this. So we get multiple 911 calls. We've got a call about a palm tree eating someone alive. We've got a call about someone's head swelling up like a melon. And we've got a call about Maurice going crazy and cutting someone.
Yes.
And then as the electric guitars and the melody kicks in, the trucks roll out of the 118 and start heading out into LA.
I love this because the calls all happen over one another kind of thing, and they sound all a bit strange, like what are these all about? And then we go to each of the calls and find out what happens.
Yes.
And they're all like not at all what you expect.
The only one we don't get to see is there is one call that they put up that's in Spanish. We don't get to see that one.
Yeah. Okay.
We definitely get to see the other first three. So the first one that I am surprised that they get to, because for some reason Bobby has decided he is going to be the navigator, despite the fact that this is his first day in LA, and he is insisting on using a paper map.
Yeah, I mean,
much to the horror of everybody else in the truck.
Like, what year is this?
It's
2009 or... No, hang on. It's after Hen arrives.
The fire happened in 2014.
Okay.
And then Bobby was 6 months sober.
So it's like well and truly in the age of Google Maps.
Yes. Basically, and especially for LA, apparently. I don't think a paper map would have helped him.
No.
Especially since we've already learnt that there's like 12 streets with the same name and same intersection.
Thank God they didn't have to go to San Vicente for any of these. But they're going down to the beach for the first call. They eventually find their way there for the person who is being eaten alive by the palm tree.
Yes.
Yeah, so I didn't look this up. I was going to and then went and ate cheesecake instead.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, like priorities. What?
Yeah, how...
What?
How did this happen?
What?
So Chim tells us that it was a tree trimmer and the fronds got him.
Yeah, so this guy's got somehow trapped in between two palm tree fronds and he's hanging upside down.
It's like grabbed him and I'm like, what?
And why was this woman on the phone to 911 going, it's like it's eating him alive? It's like, no, he's just trapped upside down on top of a tree. Like, the tree's not eating him. Like, what the hell?
But,
well, I mean, it kind
the
of...
fronds got him. I'm so... Yeah, like, what?
So it looks... I'm just very quickly Googling, so anybody who does actually have any knowledge of trimming palm trees, I'm very sorry. But it looks like the... Because the fronds are just so heavy that they collapse. Because, like, he's up on the tree, he's under the fronds. So as he's trimming them, they collapse on top of him.
Okay.
And it must be pretty serious because Chim later on tells us that they get 3 or 4 of these a year, and most of the time either they don't make it in time.
Yeah, like the weight can snap their necks and suffocate them, and I'm just
they suffocate them. Yeah.
What? like so we have like in Australia we have a fair few, like we have a lot of palm trees.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never heard of like, oh yeah, someone's died of palm tree again.
I think it happens in Brisbane.
Does it? Oh.
Ellen?
I never hear about it on the news.
Cutting to our Brisbane representative.
Well, most of the time when palm trees shed their leaves, they just fall down, like where they crash. Like, I don't know if you need to get up there to trim, I guess if you don't want them to fall on someone, then you probably do need to get up there and trim them, but I don't know.
No, it looks like the people in Brisbane, it's just palm trees falling on them.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
right?
well, there you go.
Like,
Anyway, so most of the time when they show up to these calls, there's someone dead. There's just a dead guy hanging from the top of a tree.
yeah.
Yep.
Just also
I think
horrifying.
Bobby's lucky that they actually got a live one this time.
Oh.
I'm with Bobby. I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? I'm never going to California, which is awkward because I'm pretty sure like 2 weeks ago we decided to start a Patreon to go to California. But,
But they do. What's interesting is Bobby is absolutely flummoxed at what he's looking at, and Sal immediately steps up and starts barking orders, ordering Tommy to get the ladder, prep the saw, and for Hen to be ready at the base of the tree to attend to injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby's just like, yeah, do that.
yeah. That one.
But that works. Tommy and Sal go up. They, I guess they cut him free, get him back on the ladder.
I should mention, so all these emergencies are sort of happening like simultaneously on the show. We're just going to go through call one.
I think it might be easier if we
Yeah.
just go through, because it does cut backwards and forwards.
Like a lot,
We're gonna get confused. So yeah, call one, in its entirety is they get the guy down, even though Bobby has no
Frozen.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think by the time they get the guy down, he kind of looks at Chim and just goes, "Well, that's new."
Yeah, so they get him down, he survives. I'm now terrified of palm trees. And we go to call 2, which is at a hair salon.
I am more terrified of call number 2. Palm trees are fine. This is horrifying. So call number 2 is her head is swelling up like a melon. And it is a hair salon where a woman has been sitting under the stand dryer, that dryer where they sort of old style, because most of the ones that I've used are just sort of the rotating panels around your head, but this is the old-fashioned one. And she has had some kind of allergic reaction, and it's made her head swell so that it's now
It's like a melon.
Yeah,
it's actually expanded to get stuck inside the dryer, because normally your head just kind of sits in the dryer and there is plenty of space around it. Now it is actually touching the sides of the dryer.
It looks extremely uncomfortable.
It does. Her whole face is kind of distorting because it's now it's very, very wide.
Yeah.
Mm.
So Bobby tells them to cut her free, but don't decapitate her because it's his first day.
Yeah, leave that for like later on in the week.
And they just saw the thing off. Like they, I don't know how they managed to.
They literally get the circular saw out.
Yeah.
And are sawing away, and the woman tells them that she really does hope that they get her out because she has a big audition that afternoon.
Yeah.
Just looking at her going, honey, you are not. Unless they are doing a remake of Coneheads, you are not getting any part.
Yes. And the salon, the lady who works at the salon is like, we pride ourselves on our green policies. We use non-toxic products. And the woman's like, you didn't use it on my head. Because she's had some allergic reaction to the hair dye.
Although I swear sometimes the non-toxic green products are actually worse for you than the like non-green,
Yeah, well,
fully
in this case,
chemicalized, because at least those ones have been tested enough.
Yeah. So they managed. They managed to cut this thing enough so that it can be sort of removed from her head, and she kind of
Hen says that she doesn't
away.
think that she's getting the part.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that one.
Wait, this is where we get like the thing with the scene with Bobby and the map.
Yeah, so all sort of as we're cutting backwards and forwards between these ones, Bobby is continuing to try to navigate the truck from call to call, and is getting increasingly frustrated.
I laughed so hard because they turn onto the freeway, which is a terrible idea in LA. And
Bobby is so excited. He's
bumper.
just like, freeway, let's take the freeway, because, in Minnesota, the highways are pretty much empty. You can go as fast as you want on them.
Apparently, I'm pretty sure everyone in St. Paul's gonna call us up somehow and go, no, we have traffic. But yeah, it's bumper to bumper. Like, they cannot get through. And Bobby just goes, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. Where are these people even going? And that's literally me every time I have a day off. I'll go to the shops and be like, do these people not have work? As if I'm also not at work.
Yeah, I wonder that as well.
But like, why is it so busy on a Thursday afternoon? I don't understand.
I don't understand why nobody spoke up and just went, Cap, that's not a good idea. They've just, they are just letting him
dig himself
a hole. Yes, pretty much. They're just waiting for him to fail. But yeah, interestingly, we got all 3 calls kind of overlapping, and the first 2 calls that we visited seem to be happening kind of back to back, but we don't get to the 3rd call until evening has fallen. So has this poor guy been hanging out in his backyard for hours waiting for the 118 to show up?
I mean, we don't know when they started their shift. They might have started their shift at 4 p.m. or something. Oh no, it's 2 p.m.
Where are these people going at 2 p.m.? Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
So I'm really hoping that the call about Maurice kind of came in later in the day, and they've just laid it over with all of these for dramatic effect, and it's not that he called at the same time as they were going to the beach and they've just decided that Maurice is a low priority call, so they're going to leave him until they get to him later in the day.
I think you're thinking too hard about it again.
Anyway,
they do turn up, and there's a guy covered in blood.
Bobby is very excited because he knows how to deal with a stabbing.
Yeah, a stabbing's a stabbing. But you would think.
Yes, but Chim looks at this guy and says, I'm not seeing any stab wounds. He's just been slashed with something. And Hen says they don't look like knife wounds. And Chim's like, razor blade? And neither of them have actually thought to actually ask the guy yet, because he's quite lucid and awake. Bobby says, can you tell us what happened? And the man's just like, Maurice went crazy. And so...
Which is probably why Chim and Hen didn't bother asking him, because that was completely unhelpful.
Yeah. But Bobby tells him it's okay, the police are on their way. And he's like, police? No. And then he goes, look, there he is, he's coming. And this, basically a rooster runs into the scene and looks like he's going to attack everybody.
So not only is it a rooster, he has a tiny knife strapped to his leg.
Yeah, I didn't actually notice this knife until the end when it got pulled off him.
When Bobby takes it off the ankle. Yeah.
They have stumbled into a cockfighting ring.
Mm-hmm.
And Hen is absolutely horrified and says that's what we're doing here, a cockfighting ring. Why are we helping him? The man kind of sneers at it and says, what are you, one of those animal rights types?
And Chim goes,
well, her name is Hen.
I love that. That made me laugh so hard. Mostly because I wasn't
Chim
expecting
so
it.
much. Yeah.
So, but to make this even funnier, Maurice, because the rooster's name is Maurice, is flapping and lunging at everyone while banjo music is playing over this entire scene.
And the man's like, he's going to attack. Don't look at him.
So once again, Sal decides that he is going to prove that he is the true leader of the 118, and he and Tommy are going to handle this. Chim and Hen just kind of go, no, we're out of here. We're going to take our Vic and go. And we get this hilarious moment, couple of moments of Sal and Tommy both chasing and running from this chicken around the backyard.
Yeah.
And, like, Tommy at one point looks like he's about to do, like, the Karate Kid. I can't even remember what it's called. It's the one where he, like, one up on one leg, lifting his arms up, and he's about to...
Oh, the crane kick?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then immediately just flinches backwards when Maurice goes for him. Meanwhile, Bobby is standing in the background, pissing himself laughing.
Yeah, like he's trying not to laugh and then just gives up and just openly laughs. Tommy's like making kissy noises at him and sounds like, what, you're going to kiss him?
Yeah.
Which is amusing.
That was when I was like starting to be going, oh, he's going to, oh, never mind.
No, he leaves kissing cocks for, after work.
Yeah, that's later.
Yeah, leaves that for season 7. Chim and Hen are just like, nope, and completely hightail out with the guy that got attacked by the rooster. They're just like, nope, back to the ambulance. We're not dealing with this. And Bobby, who's still like laughing, just grabs a towel and like places it over Maurice and wraps him up in it. And he's just like, I got you. You're okay. I got you.
Very pointedly says to Sal, West Coast meet Midwest.
I get the feeling that they probably still don't chase all that many chickens around in St. Paul. It's still a city.
I mean, it's a great shot, but Tommy and Sal were trying to get Maurice when he was running around. Maurice landed on the edge of like this paddling pool, like one of those
it's like
external pools, and he's just sitting nicely, very quietly, very demurely on the rim of the pool, just waiting for Bobby to like place the towel over him. So
yeah,
he didn't really work that hard.
I mean, I think the difference was that that he was being like calm, whereas the other two, the Dumb and Dumber OG were were running around making stupid noises and flapping, literally flapping.
Yes.
He takes the tiny knife off the leg, and
he does. He takes the tiny knife off
and sort of looks at it and goes, "Oh!" But then Athena arrives.
Yes. She's had a call about a stabbing with an unknown assailant. Bobby says, well, actually, his name is Maurice, and then just immediately gives Athena his cock.
Yeah, and she's just like, whoa,
So yeah,
I don't
meeting
want
was their first
I
meeting
don't know
was
what to do with
Athena
this
taking
cock.
Bobby's cock.
I'm married to a gay man. I don't understand.
I was about to say maybe she should be asking Michael for some tips.
Oh God.
In all seriousness, he hands her the chicken.
Yeah, he hands her the rooster and says, don't worry, he's been disarmed. Go easy on him. He's had a rough day. And then just
And then he
leaves.
just bails. They all just...
And everybody leaves.
And Athena's just like,
Nope,
nope.
no.
What am I supposed to do with this?
You take it back to the precinct. You like fingerprint him. You make cute little photos of him.
Do you reckon she took it home and Michael was just like, actually, it's a nice looking cock.
No.
I'm having some feelings.
It's either that.
Okay, I think
It's
that's
either that or
too far.
It's either that or everyone at the precinct had chicken nuggies for lunch that day.
Oh. Poor Maurice.
I think he got sent to a nice farm somewhere outside of LA.
I'm sure he did, yeah.
Oh, so it feels like Bobby's had a pretty good day.
Yeah, like it ended quite well.
It looks, it seemed like
feels like he was in good spirits. Yeah. But he's on the phone to Oscar, who's his sponsor, and Oscar's asking him if he's been making it to the meetings, and Bobby's like, yeah, it hasn't really been a problem. And then he you know, says goodbye, and then when he gets out of the car, he's actually outside of a bar, and he goes inside.
It looks like he's about to walk into an AA meeting.
Yeah.
They're making it seem like he's hanging outside of a building ready to go into an AA meeting, and then he gets up and he gets out of the car and he walks through the doors, and as he walks through, the camera pulls back and we see that he's actually walking into a bar.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess that would be an easy way to boost recruitment for your AA meeting by holding them in a bar, but I also think it would be slightly counterproductive.
Yes. But no, he must have taken the first day harder than we suspected.
So the next time we see Bobby, he is in church. And
it's the church, the one with the pretty windows.
The church. And the hot priest, except hot priest is not here yet.
Yeah, because the pilot it's the hot priest. Is it his first day in the pilot?
He must be pretty damn new.
Yeah. I know he says he's new, but I can't remember if it's like his first day. But yeah, it's the first time they meet, so yeah. So we get the old priest.
Old priest and a hot priest.
Not saying that old people can't be hot, but this is not hot priest. It's important to distinguish.
OG hot priest. No.
No.
Anyway,
no.
This is the first time that Bobby meets this guy as well, I feel like. So they have a...
Well, if this is the day after his first day on shift, so he must not have been in Los Angeles for very long. So he probably hasn't had a chance to sort of find his local church.
Well...
Yeah, so he doesn't confess to the whole thing with this guy. He says, you know, there aren't enough candles in the church for the people that I hurt. But he's feeling guilty for having a good day, basically.
Yeah, he didn't have a bad day. He had a good day.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get to have those.
No. The priest says, you don't get to be happy? And he's like, no, I don't get to forget. And for a moment while I was having a good day, I forgot that I wasn't, you know, allowed to have a good day. Yeah. So the priest says that the only person who was good at multitasking from a cross was that guy, and he like points at Jesus. And I'm like, does this mean that Bobby is holding a cross? Like, you know, he's got his cross that he's dragging up the hill or whatever, and maybe he needs to just stop trying to drag it around. But Bobby's like, I'm going to drag this damn cross all the way to the very top of the hill.
Yes. He tried to put his 1-year sobriety chip into the collection because he broke his sobriety the night before, but the priest gives it back to him and tells him that he needs to earn it again.
I don't, are they worth much? Why is he giving it to the collection plate?
I don't know.
I don't think they're worth anything to anyone else.
Like, the church is like, thanks, what are we going to do with this?
This is not going to help us.
Like, was it simple? I don't understand.
I think it was just a nice way to get the ball rolling for their conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So while Bobby is contemplating his sobriety and dragging his cross up the hill, we are going to go to Guillermo's Eatery, which is pumping. Great night at Guillermo's.
Pumping with silence.
Yeah, because there's like 3 people in there. 2 of them live there.
2 of them own it.
Yeah, Guillermo's is not doing well. The books are not looking good. They did worse than they did last month, which was worse than the month before.
Did you recognise this woman?
Yes, it's Misha's Gotham Knights girlfriend.
Yeah. I'm like, I just remember that her name was Rebecca.
Specifically say, hey, it's the chick that Misha fucked.
Hey, it's Rebecca. No, that's not her name.
She's also in Community as a professor, and she's in Grey's Anatomy as well.
Huh.
I was looking at her thinking, I definitely know you from somewhere.
It was like
But, yeah.
like I know that face.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But no, she's the evil bitch from Gotham Knights. Yeah, yeah. They're not having a good time of it at Guillermo's. And the man goes and tells the one guy who's sitting at a table in there, like, if you don't order some food, I'm going to have to ask you to leave because you haven't ordered any food. And the guy's like, fine, I'm taking my business elsewhere. And he leaves.
What business?
And the man's like, what business? And then after he leaves, he's like, what business?
Because he turns around and the place is completely empty.
Yeah. And so then he sets the place on fire. It's pretty obvious that's what's happened because, you know, he's really upset about it. And then we get the 911 call where Rebecca from Gotham Knights is like, our restaurant's on fire. I think our son's in there. And so...
Yeah, because we had a quick establishing sort of conversation where their son Freddie was sort of tucked into a booth in the restaurant watching something on his laptop. And when Victor told his wife that she should probably just go home, that he could handle the restaurant for the rest of the night by himself, he told her to take Freddie and go home. And Freddie's like, no, I want to finish what I'm watching. Like, I'm up at the best part. I can't leave just yet. And like, it's portable, Freddie. You can take it with you and finish it. But she said, I left his laptop inside and he went back for it. And I'm going, ma'am, why was your son not responsible for his own laptop?
Yeah. Regardless, Freddie ran back in and vanishes.
So Victor sets the restaurant on fire.
No, we don't know this yet. Don't spoil it. Jeez.
Ellen just spoiled it.
But it's really obvious that's what's happened.
It's
right?
so obvious.
It's so...
Like, my
So
notes the whole time are like, oh, so he set the restaurant on fire,
I don't think it's supposed to be a mystery. Like, I think we know exactly what's happened here.
Like, Bobby's the last one to work it out, honestly.
Everyone else has figured it out. So yeah, either he set the place on fire, not realizing that Freddie has snuck back into the restaurant because his mother has left his laptop behind even though it was his responsibility. So then he has raced back into the restaurant to try and get Freddie. And the Rebecca is freaking out because now both her husband and her son are in this burning restaurant. And
her name's actually Lauren in real life. But
no, it's Rebecca.
But I'm going to call her Rebecca.
Or Professor Slater. I can go Professor Slater.
Regardless, Athena has also been called to this call, and she is holding back Professor Rebecca Lauren Slater.
Her name's Ellie.
Who is...
Sorry, Ellie in 911.
And she's saying to Athena that the sprinklers didn't come on. Why didn't the sprinklers come on? And I'm going, oh, so Guillermo's was built just as bad as well as the Lakeside Apartments was built. Excellent.
Yeah, right. It was actually, it's the same landlord of the same landlord of Bobby's. Once his apartment burnt down, he was like, oh, I'll go into the restaurant game. It's fine.
But at least with this call, Bobby knows what he's doing because it's a fire, and a fire is a fire whether you're in St. Paul or whether it's in Los Angeles. So he starts barking orders. He's got, he tells Tommy to hit the roof. He wants Chimney and Hen to start setting up for the smoke inhalation. He tells Sal, well, he never gets to tell Sal what he wants him to do because Sal has disappeared into the restaurant. And when he tries to call him over the radio to ask him what the fuck he is doing, Sal just says, I'm doing my job. I'm saving lives. So then Bobby has to go into the restaurant to save Sal's life.
Yeah.
Because, like, I get what Sal is doing.
Yeah.
But if he's gonna do that, he needs to stay on his radio because he needs to keep Bobby up to date.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure what Bobby is doing going into the restaurant. Like,
saving DeLuca's ass.
Yeah. But is it worth having two of them in danger?
Well, I guess it's DeLuca and Victor and Freddie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. There are still 2 people
There's
inside. So.
there are 3 people in that restaurant that need to be hauled out. But when Bobby gets inside, he calls over the radio to somebody, I'm not sure who he's communicating with, that there are flashover conditions inside the restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Do we know what that means?
According to Wikipedia,
yes.
A flashover is the near simultaneous ignition of most of the directly exposed combustible material in an enclosed area.
Oh.
Which I went, okay, I guess that makes sense in some language. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to read quickly. There is a wonderful thread on Reddit, which is just firefighters explaining shit to civilians.
Oh.
And a flashover is when a fire in a room turns into a room on fire.
Okay.
For a more detailed answer, as items burn, they release heat energy. The items around that burning item start to absorb the heat. Eventually, those items can't absorb any more heat and start radiating back into the room. Think of a waste paper bin on fire in a room next to a sofa. The sofa will absorb the heat from the bin, as will the walls, the floor. They will start to give off their own heat. And while this is all going on, smoke, which is basically unburnt fuel, is filling the room, which heats the ceiling. Everything starts getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and then everything just combusts simultaneously.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah. It's apparently fucking scary.
Yeah, sounds it.
Thank you. Thank you for that definition.
Thanks, Firefighter Bex.
Yeah. And he gets around, he gets inside and looks at everything, and there's fire all around him, and suddenly he starts to flash back to the fire in his apartment building. And
suddenly the restaurant looks like the hallway of the lakeside.
Yeah, and he's yelling for Marcy and the kids. But he sort of closes his eyes, and then when he opens them, he's back in the restaurant. So he sees somebody through the smoke, and it's Victor. And he's okay. He's just lying there on the floor for, I don't know. He's conscious. He tries.
Yeah, he's conscious because he's calling for Freddy.
Yeah. He starts to drag him out of there though, and this is when we get the flashover.
Yes, which looks really cool because all of a sudden it's just flames.
Yeah.
Coating the ceiling.
And they add in like slow motion here too, which makes it extra scary. Apparently.
But yeah, Bobby like drops and shields Victor with his body
and his magical turnout coat.
That not only protects from fires but also heavy water.
Yes.
And Chimney comes over the radio and says there's a skylight right above him. And
How does
Bobby
he
says
know?
he's going to vent the roof. And yeah, I have no idea how Chimney knows where he is. It's clearly GPS.
He said it. He did send them. Did he send Chim to the roof? He sent someone to the roof, didn't he?
He sent Tommy up to the roof.
Yeah, because he asked Sal to get on the roof and didn't.
No, so Kennard was on the roof. Han and Wilson were setting up the smoke inhalation. He never got around to telling Sal what to do.
Oh, didn't he? Okay.
But yeah, Chimney somehow manages to divine exactly where Bobby is in the location, and somehow managed to get the plans for the building to know that there's a skylight up there.
Yes.
Chimney's just that good at his job, okay?
But Bobby also knows exactly where the skylight is. Maybe he can see more than we can because he then throws a shovel, right?
No, it's
an
his
axe.
His axe. Where does he get
His axe.
the axe?
I'm assuming that they just
It's part of the turnout, yeah.
Okay. And they,
But yeah, he just literally throws it straight up in the air, trusting that Chim was correct, that there was a skylight right above him. And it kind of disappears into the flames. we hear glass breaking, and then large shards of glass just rain down on the floor. And then in a very impressive bit of CGI, all of the flames just get sucked through that vent that he's made, shooting straight up.
Yeah, hopefully Tommy
into the
wasn't
sky.
out there because
Hopefully Tommy got out of the way.
he's going to need rescuing
Tommy's like,
again.
we're clearing the roof, and Bobby's like, too fucking late.
Otherwise, we're going to end up with like another Kevin situation. We don't need that.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
But it works. Bobby drags Victor outside. He drags him like this.
He drags him. He holds Victor up sort of until he's almost standing, and Bobby's got his arms under Victor's armpits, and he's dragging him. So why is Bobby dragging Victor, where the last time we saw somebody pulling somebody out of a burning building, they had them across their shoulders and running?
Yeah, like Chim is tiny. Clearly they lost like the tummy. They lost the Tommy dummy.
Yeah.
And they were just like, oh fuck,
Tummy
like
dummy.
yeah, you're just gonna have to
Either that or Peter's just gone, no, I'm not doing that. That makes no sense. I'm going to drag him. Whereas Kenneth's like, no, I want the big action sequence scene. Let me running out with the flames exploding behind me as I've got this dummy across my shoulders, because that's going to look so fucking cool.
It could also be that this guy is conscious, like Bobby's dragging him, but he's also able to use his feet a little bit. Whereas if Tommy was completely out, then, you know, it would be...
I don't know. It's just...
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Just,
It doesn't matter because he's okay.
Yeah, so Bobby drags him out, pretty much dumps him with Tommy and Hen, then turns to go back inside because he's still got to get DeLuca out.
Yeah, but he's already
And
out.
the kid.
He's got the kid with him. And
yeah,
they're okay.
They're just like, no, we got him, we're fine.
Yeah, because Sal came out the back door and conveniently decided not to radio into anybody to tell them that he'd got out.
So why would he be communicative now?
That's just so frustrating. I can understand why Bobby is so pissed, because he would have gone back into that building and he would have searched it top to bottom, putting himself in risk for somebody who wasn't in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Professor Slater, Ellen, whatever her name is, and Freddie have this very touching reunion by the ambulance where Victor is getting loaded in. And Freddie is asking if his dad is going to be okay. Chim says, yeah, he'll be okay, but we've got to move him. So everybody gets loaded into the ambulance. And then Bobby has obviously never seen any kind of medical or police TV show, because he stops them for a second and says, it's going to be okay. I promise.
You don't promise anything.
You never promise anything, Bobby.
It's just what Bobbies do.
But it's such a stupid line too, because there's kind of nothing leading up to it that would warrant that kind of response. Like, Freddie wasn't freaking out. He wasn't begging for help. He's just like, is Dad going to be okay? And everyone's gone, yeah, he's going to be okay. And Bobby's like, yes, I promise everything is going to be okay. Because I need to set up a storyline.
Yeah. So he gets cross with Sal.
As he should.
Yeah, so Sal says that he found the kid hiding in the bathroom and probably saved his own life with that move. And Bobby just goes, I'm glad someone was thinking tonight. And Sal's like, what?
What does that mean? So everyone goes back to the 118, gets cleaned up, shift ends. Sal and Tommy are on their way out. They're in civilians. They're obviously ready to go home. When Bobby calls over and says, DeLuca, I need a minute. And Sal just keeps walking. He doesn't even give any indication that he's heard. Tommy hears and sort of looks back, and he's sort of looking backwards and forwards between Bobby and Sal, going like, dude, you're going to answer? But Sal doesn't do anything until Bobby snaps at him like, now, DeLuca. He gets this like really pissed off look on his face and turns around and starts giving Bobby a piece of his mind.
And they all come out, like Chim and Hen and everyone come out to watch.
He was like, fight, fight,
There's
fight.
something going on. Tommy actually tells him to stop.
Tommy's trying to calm him down. He's like, Sal, stop. Bobby warns him to watch his tone. And so Sal just keeps on digging. He says, why? Because you're my captain? You're not. You're just the latest jackhole in a long line of jackholes that come into this house and think they know how to run it. And Bobby shoots back, what, you think you know how to run it? Sal's like, yeah, that kid would have been dead right now if it wasn't for me. And Bobby's like, no, we could all be dead right now because of you. We got lucky. Sal's like, no, that wasn't luck, man. That was skill. I got the kind of skill it takes to save lives and lead this house.
So we finally find out why Sal is so upset about the whole thing.
Yes.
Because he got passed over for it.
But I do think it's funny that we find it out through one of Chim's pop culture references. Because Sal says, I've got the skill to lead this house. Bobby says, you might have the skill, but you don't have the temperament. And Sal throws his duffel down and goes to square up. And Bobby just, Chim darts in between the two of them. He's like, look, we get it, Fredo. You got passed over. And I'm like, I got to look that one up. So Fredo refers to Fredo Corleone, who it's from The Godfather. He was the second son of The Godfather. And when his older brother, Sonny, was assassinated,
oh my God,
it's
spoilers.
kind of like the chain of succession would be, you would think that Fredo would then step up to become the next in line to be the Godfather, but he gets passed over and his younger brother, Michael, actually gets tapped. So there we go. I do like that Chim's just like, now let it go, and even though Bobby is standing right behind me, he's like, and say you're sorry. Sal just says, you want me to apologize to this mook? Never gonna happen.
So, Mook?
Mook.
Yeah. It's, I can't remember which episode it's in, but Gerard says it too. And I just love that it's brought back in this episode and brought back later in this episode.
So it's obviously something that they've picked up from Gerard.
Yeah, but it's definitely from Gerard.
Yeah. I was saying New York slang, so I'm going to say it's probably some form
This one says Italian American, a person of little social standing, not worthy of respect. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought it would be.
Which I guess kind of fits in with calling him with the whole Godfather. Oh, okay, so DeLuca is Italian. So it would make sense that he's using Italian American slang.
Well, it could just be from the Godfather, from popular culture. Anyway, okay, it's less offensive than I thought it was.
So DeLuca insults Bobby, and Bobby says, okay, you are going to learn to respect the chain of command, or you're not going to work here anymore. Sal says, screw you. Bobby goes, okay, cool. You're relieved of duty.
And he's like, you're firing me? But yeah, Bobby says, get out. So, bye, Sal.
We go a little bit later. I think the next day, maybe? Because Hen comes upstairs and she's back in duty uniform.
Oh, yeah.
But Bobby is sitting in the loft kitchen with his little book of names, and we see him write his first entry in the book. So number 1 on his list of people that he's saving to make amends is he writes Guillermo's. Well, it starts to write Guillermo's, but before he can complete it, Hen comes upstairs.
Well, he saved Guillermo's life, so maybe he didn't have an S on the end. Assuming that the guy who he saved was actually Guillermo.
I'm going to say that, is he Guillermo? Alright, I gotta look this up.
I've got the IMDb thing open at the moment. Hang on, let me just look. No, his name's Victor. right?
Yeah, but is
that
his
him?
surname Guillermo?
Yeah, his
No,
surname.
well, Guillermo is a first name though.
It can be, but it could also be a surname.
It could be, but they don't list the surname in IMDb, so who knows?
I'm trying to find the character. Nope, not his last name.
Mm. So literally he's just writing down the name of the restaurant.
Okay.
He's writing down the name of the
You
restaurant.
probably can't remember the
Yeah.
guy's name.
The surname is Costas. So it's Victor
Oh.
Costas.
Okay.
There we go. Yes,
So he's Greek, and he runs an Italian restaurant.
he runs a...
Okay.
No wonder it's failing. Jesus.
Anyway, regardless of what he's writing, he gets interrupted because Hen comes upstairs. And Bobby says to her as she comes up, "Did one of you polish the pipes on the engines, or did you delegate that to a probie?" And Hen's like, no, that was me. Why? Did it not exceed your expectations, Captain? She's kind of challenging him a little bit. And he just flat-faced says, no.
She's
Bobby
like,
has such a
"Excuse
dad
me?"
sense of humour.
Oh, it's so bad.
No, it did not meet his expectations because it exceeded it. But
It
he leaves her
exceeded them.
He leaves her hanging for a couple of seconds. He likes torturing people like that.
Mhm.
Apparently.
So she asks about the book, and Bobby gets a little bit huffy and very pointedly puts it to one side. Like, we're not talking about the book. Hen notices this and just says, sorry, I'm just trying to make conversation. So Bobby says, okay, Wilson, what do you want to talk about? And Hen corrects him and says, no, people call me Hen. Not to be confused with Han, who everyone calls Chimney. And then
Yeah.
Bobby says, why do we call him Chimney? And Hen says, you'll have to ask him.
Yep. So again, we still don't know why his name's Chimney.
But at least we've narrowed it down now. So it's something that happens post-Gerard but pre-Bobby in that 2 years when they were
you're right.
when they had captains coming backwards and forwards. So something happened in those 2 years. That's when it happened.
But I love that this is now a running joke that everyone keeps asking why, and no one actually answers.
No, yeah.
They just
no
said,
one
"Oh,
answers.
I'll have to tell you about it later," or "Go and ask Jimmy." It's
Yeah,
like,
or this is not appropriate for children.
Yeah.
Do not tell Chris what the fuck are you doing.
yeah. So they've really set themselves up for like having to come up with something really great if they ever reveal it. But
They're never, like we said, they're never going to do
no,
it. It's just,
they can't. They can't now.
There's not enough, like, there's too much hype,
Yeah,
and they'd ruin it with a story.
yes.
I would rather they absolutely never told us because it's way better that way.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's like, I've been watching How I Met Your Mother again,
yeah.
and there's a character called the Slutty Pumpkin that they mention in season 1.
Katie Holmes.
Yes,
Oh.
Katie Holmes, right?
Right.
Yeah, Katie
But-
Holmes is a slutty pumpkin.
But like it's like this whole built up thing, and like it's a metaphor about Ted's life and like Ted as a character. And then in the second last season, they're just like, oh yeah, let's revisit it. And it's Katie Holmes. And it's so stupid because they just do it to close off that part of the story. But like she's like, oh, I've been looking for you since that night. But the thing is, like, it's established in season 1 that Ted goes to the exact same party every year for like 5 years waiting for her. And she's like, I've been looking for you for so long. It's like, well, clearly you haven't because he was there the whole time.
Yeah.
So like
Okay.
they just do it to, and it ruins the whole thing. And now every time I watch just the first season episode about it, I'm like, well, now it's stupid. So I'd rather them not revisit it and not try and close the loop.
Yeah. Okay.
And just leave it as a, like, mystery. Like, not everything has to be closed.
Yeah.
It's my rant about How I Met Your Mother while I'm rewatching it. Up to season 2, there's a lot of rants coming on in the next couple of weeks. But it's right, next week I'll be like, I wasted a whole season on a fucking wedding that they got divorced. Anyway.
Yeah, so he's
Back
he
in
says,
911.
You should ask Chimney. And the guy you fired the other day. So it wasn't yesterday, it was the other day.
The other day.
We used to call him Sal, which is a nickname. Like, is Sal not his name? They just call him Sal.
Yeah, right?
Is it Sal DeLuca? So, but
It could be
Bobby seems
Salvador or something like that, I guess. But anyway.
I think Bobby's calling everyone by their surnames. Like that very macho thing. Of,
I
it's
see.
just your
I
surname.
think that's probably what they did back then.
Because it's like it's
back in
Hahn,
Minnesota.
Wilson, Kennard, DeLuca.
Yeah.
But Bobby asks if Hen thinks that he was wrong to fire DeLuca. He nearly got them all killed, and Hen shoots back, but he didn't. And Bobby says, and that's why I would have given him a second chance, but he didn't want one. Maybe he'll have better luck at the 122. So Bobby didn't actually fire Sal, he just got him reassigned to a different house. He just didn't tell everybody that.
Yeah, he came in to make a point. Sal did get suspended.
Oh yeah, for insubordination. You can't let that slide.
Because he did do the wrong thing. And he did risk, he could have caused a lot of harm to people. And then then tried to punch his captain. But, yeah, so he was suspended and has been moved.
To the 122. Poor 122, I don't think they deserve him.
It's alright, maybe that's where Gerard is.
Hen thinks that she says, listen, tomorrow night some of us are going out for drinks and you should join us. And Bobby's like, oh, I don't know about that. I'm not supposed to be drinking at the moment. And
I don't know if it was I don't know because I'm not meant to be drinking, or I don't know because I don't want to go and socialise with my team. Like whether he's trying to keep that sort of distance. It's
probably a bit of
in
both,
the command.
I imagine.
It's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. But Hen changes the question, and instead of you should join us, she's just like, join us. And so he does. We do get a little bit of Chim and Hen and Tommy kind of hanging out before he gets there, though, where they're basically bitching about Bobby behind his back, saying that Sal might have been a tool, but he was a useful tool, and the punishment did not fit the crime. And Tommy's just says, he fired Sal to mark his territory and keep the rest of us in line. And Hen's just sitting back watching them going, no, Cap found another spot for him at the 122. His plan was always just to reprimand him, but Sal and Chim picks up the thread of conversation, says he talked himself out of a job. Well, that part at least tracks. And then he asks the table, does anyone know what the hell a mook is? Which, if you're saying that this was one that they've picked up from Gerard, then they would have heard him use it quite a few times. I know it's a good way to get Bobby into this conversation, but I'm surprised that nobody's thought to look it up before now. But yes, Bobby arrives at the table in time to hear Chim ask what the hell is a mook, and he Googled it, so he knows that it means a stupid person.
Yeah, so he can Google that, but he doesn't know how to Google Maps.
I'm assuming that he looked up Google on a laptop. Maybe he's not so au fait with the smartphones. So he's got his laptop out and finger henpecked MOOK.
No, he's at that age, so he would have Googled what is a mook with a question mark. It took him 10 minutes to type it out, but he got there, and it means a stupid person.
Yes, he pulls up a chair and joins them at the table.
Can I add? In the walkway. So they're sitting in a booth, and so Bobby pulls up a chair on it's one of the circular booths. So 3 sides of the table are contained within the booth, and then the 4th side is the walkway area, and that's where Bobby decides that he's going to sit. So he is obstructing the flow of traffic. Pretty sure that's a safety hazard.
Oh dear.
But yeah, everybody looks slightly surprised. They're a little bit suspicious, a little bit awkward about why exactly he is there, until a waitress comes over, takes Bobby's order, and he says that he's going to buy everybody at the table another round.
Mm-hmm.
Chim perks up after that. Chim's about 2 sheets to the wind. Like, not the full 3 sheets, but he's
he's on the way, yeah. But he asks for he orders a club soda for himself, and no one comments on that, but they just thank him. But they get into the drinks, I think, and they start talking about scars. It's like,
this did crack me
having
up.
the scars impresses women, but getting them freaks them out. It's like, what the hell are you talking about?
It's not a smooth segue into this scene at all. They then start. It's like a pissing contest, but with scars. They're each showing off their scars, trying to like who has the worst.
Other. Yeah,
who has the worst scars. So Hen goes first. She's got a pretty gnarly burn on her shin from a house fire last year. Tommy strips off his shirt.
Literally just takes his shirt off.
And then he's like pulling at his nipple to sort of stretch his hair. I'm watching him manhandle himself going, do you have to, like, you don't have to be like, you know, groping yourself in order to show off.
Is this like a real scar? Like,
no, I don't think so. Although kudos to the makeup department, they did a really good job on all of their scars. But no, he's got he caught shrapnel in his side from a factory explosion.
Yeah. And then Jim goes, I am this far unscarred and I fully intend to remain that way. It's like, well, I got really bad news for you, Jim.
Oh, he's now had a rebar through the brain and been stabbed.
And multiple stab wounds. I think he has them beat.
Yeah.
But then he says that he finds the whole ritual a pale insult to the great Robert Shaw. And I don't know why it took me 5 rewatches to finally realise that he was actually making yet another pop culture reference and looked up who the hell Robert Shaw was.
Yeah.
And discovered that he is referencing Jaws.
Yeah.
Because Peter Shaw played Quint, and there is a scene in Jaws where he, Hooper, and Brody are all drunk showing off their scars to one another. Although it's a little bit more homoerotic than this scene because, you know, Hooper and Quint have kind of got their legs over each other, and I think at one point Quint is, like, stroking Hooper's leg.
I didn't remember that scene at all from Jaws when you sent me the link to it. I'm like...
Oh, it's been years.
I haven't watched it for a long time, but anyway.
I don't think I've ever seen the full thing.
Oh.
I think it's one of those movies that you've seen enough references to it in pop culture that you know enough of it that you feel like you don't need to see the movie.
Yeah, right? That's it.
Yeah.
But then Bobby gets in on the action and shows off a scar on the back of his shoulder. And could we please note that he did not need to take off his entire shirt to show them that scar, Tommy.
Yeah.
He has a massive scar on the back of his shoulder blade, which was from a 4-alarm blaze. It was an electrical burn, is the scar, from a live junction box.
Yeah.
At an outlet mall, because Minnesota is famous for their outlet malls, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Isn't there like a big mall in Minnesota?
I don't know. If you live in Minnesota and would like to tell us about your shopping centres, we'd love to know more about it.
Yeah, it's the Mall of America is in Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
It's literally America's largest shopping mall. Anyway, I'm glad that my fun facts are in fact occasionally correct.
Something about that story and that scar kind of, it sets off a train of thought for Bobby, and he's gets lost in his own thought while the other three discuss Fight Club.
Yeah.
Because Tommy references, he says, "I don't want to die without any scars." And Chim immediately knows what he's talking about. Hen is completely confused. She has not seen Fight Club. That's not her kind of movie at all. And then all of a sudden, Bobby just stands up and says, "I'm sorry, guys, I gotta go. I'll keep the tab open. You'll enjoy yourselves." And just books it out of the restaurant. Or bar. Wherever they are. It looks nice wherever they are.
It does look nice, yeah. But he's going to do a bit of snooping.
Yes, because he ends up back at Guillermo's.
Yeah. The inside's all burned up, but he gets in. He just walks in. Like, I don't think he has to break in or anything. Like, it's burnt enough that he can just
I think
get
the
in.
entire front window is completely smashed, so we could probably step over into the restaurant.
Yeah, right. There's police tape, and he's just like, "This would stop me if I could read."
He's shining his torch around looking for something in particular, but then he gets blinded by the torchlight, and Athena says, "Put your hands in the air." And Bobby recognises her immediately. I don't know how, they've only met once where he handed her his cock, but Sergeant Grant, it's just me, Captain Nash. You don't recognise my cock? No. She goes, "I know who you are." It's like, wow, you guys really made an impression on each other, right?
Oh, so many jokes.
And he just says, "You still upset about the rooster?"
You're still upset about my cock? But they've both got hunches.
Yeah, they have like a flirty little conversation about,
his cock?
No, but lying in bed, having a hunch.
I was lying in bed trying to sleep, and then I started thinking about your cock.
Yeah, apparently, I mean. She's like, "Did you have the same?"
And then I told Michael about it, and then Michael was also thinking.
No. So Athena was having lustful thoughts about the sprinkler system at Guillermo's and about how it never... Oh, God, no.
It
Sorry,
never went off.
I was going to say it never got wet, but...
Oh, no. She said it was serviced just last month. But apparently the water valve was actually shut off manually. So she's putting two and two together. But Bobby he says these things are typically electrical, but the breaker didn't go off. And he followed the burn patterns, whatever that is, and this is where he found the dad. So ipso facto, he burnt the place down.
Yes, because apparently exactly where they found Victor lying on the floor, Bobby is able to extract what is left of a 9-volt battery that has had steel wool wrapped around the heads, the leads, the little thingies on top of the battery.
What are they called?
I don't know. It's not really important because
No.
Athena is going to explain to us non-arsonists in the audience that it's an improvised incendiary timing device.
Oh.
And these two are great because, Bobby can look at people and diagnose them, so can Athena. They can look at this one battery and know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Their powers are amazing. So they...
By their powers combined, they've solved this case.
Oh, no. So
I'm not going to make a cock joke.
I had a Captain Planet thing running through my head.
Me too.
No, so the
Bobby goes back to
theory...
church, thank God, because he clearly needs it. We all do.
Hang on. We we need to confirm the theory, which was that Victor set the place on fire. They've decided that he used this battery, whatever it was, to set a fire, but then he didn't expect his kid to be in the restaurant, so he raced back in to put the fire out, but was unable to, and the whole thing just burnt down.
Mm-hmm.
But they spell it out for everybody else who didn't figure it out like 15 minutes ago that it was arson.
Yeah.
So yes, after all of the cock jokes, Bobby goes back to church to
to make amends.
for confession.
Yeah. He says he tells the priest that he's a hypocrite.
I do like that the priest's response is that he says that he is a sinner who wags his finger at other sinners, so welcome to hypocrisy.
Yeah. But Bobby's just says that he pulled the guy out of the fire and he was good. Nothing nothing evil about him. He just was in over his head. So he burned down the family business for his family, almost got him killed. Thank you for re-explaining that to us, Bobby, in such an expositioning way. But, he's feeling guilty that strings were pulled to get him this job and he let it happen, but, he doesn't deserve this.
It's the guy who did get his family killed that has to hold the man who almost killed his family accountable. And I'm going, but why do you have to hold him accountable?
Yeah, like
you're
you're
just
not
the captain of one station house. Surely there should be an entire division of the LAPD that deals with arson that should be the one holding him accountable.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't need to be there with Athena. She's the one who was there to find the evidence.
At the very least, yeah, Athena could be holding him accountable.
Yeah.
But again, for storyline reasons, Bobby is going to insert himself into this investigation.
Athena's
But yeah, then we get
detective agency.
The information that St. Paul whitewashed his file before they sent it on to LA, which makes me hope that whatever coals Bobby is being dragged over for lying to the LAFD, that somebody has gone back to Phil, and Phil is also being raked over the coals, because Bobby didn't do this alone. Phil was also involved.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that he is also getting an earful from somebody for what he did.
This is beside the point, but reading this transcript makes a whole lot more sense than listening to them talk about it, because I'd forgotten for a moment there that St. Paul was the city that he lived in. And so when the priest started talking about St. Paul the man, I was the man, not the city. And I was just like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, St. Paul, what?
Why are we talking about saints all of a sudden?
I just didn't understand that at all. But now it kind of makes sense. So never mind.
I think I always just zone out when the priest starts talking.
Yeah, he's not a very compelling character.
That's
It's like, I don't care what you've got to say about saints. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I think it's just an instinct. Someone starts talking about Christ in the Bible stories, and I'm just...
Yeah.
But I guess the point of the moral of the story of St. Paul was that is about grace. That grace is not something that you earn or that you deserve. Grace is a gift that Bobby is just supposed to accept. The grace of having his file whitewashed, of being sent to LA, of having a brand new start is something that Bobby needs to accept.
Yeah. No matter how much he feels like he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for Victor, he's feeling a lot better. He's getting discharged from hospital. Mm-hmm. But as he's about to leave, he gets blindsided by Athena.
Yeah, who does not do this subtly or, take Victor off to the side or, wait until he gets home. She decides to do it in the waiting room in front of his family.
Ambushes him at the hospital in front of all the doctors, the nurses, the patients, his family.
She's got Bobby
Yeah,
and her shoulder.
Bobby's
And
there
then
too.
there's
I don't know
For some reason.
why is Bobby there?
I don't know why Bobby is there.
Just
Bobby is there for
it's like how Buck follows Eddie to the hospital. I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know.
it's weird, these parallels.
It's for storyline reasons,
it's
but it's just
we are-
really flimsy storyline reasons.
It's because we're in Bobby's point of view in this episode, so he needs to be everywhere so that we are everywhere.
So basically, Athena is there to arrest him for arson, and it's quite clear that Victor knows exactly why they're there, because he's trying to hurry his family out of the hospital so that they don't witness him getting arrested. But neither his wife nor his son seem at all eager to leave, and he has to confess to them and Athena, and I'm like, dude, just stop talking.
Yeah, he does just pour it all out there.
Yeah. That he did set the fire. That he intentionally set the fire so that he could claim for the insurance. And his wife is confused, and she's asking, like, why would you do that? And Bobby decides that it's his turn to talk. And he says that he was thinking of you. He was thinking of both of you. And Freddie lunges at Bobby. I think he's probably trying to get to Athena, but Bobby gets in the way, screaming that his father is not a criminal. And when Bobby tries to calm him down, he said, no, you said everything was going to be okay. You lied. I'm like, yes, of course he lied. He said the anti-magic word, I promise. As soon as anybody on TV says, I promise, you know that whatever they're promised is
it's a curse.
The opposite is going to happen. Yeah.
Yep, you know shit's going to go down.
Yeah. So Freddie is not pissed at his father. He's pissed at Bobby. Says that Bobby was supposed to save people. Like, he did. He saved your father.
Yeah. Like, he's going to jail, but at least he's not dead.
At least he's alive, and at least you are alive, because Bobby was the captain of the fire team that dragged your sorry ass out of the restaurant.
Yeah.
But with the words, you were supposed to save them, ringing in his ears, Bobby flees back to church. He needs a therapist. The amount of time that he spends talking to this priest.
Yeah, I don't know if the priest is particularly helpful either. Well, he does encourage him to sort of maybe tell the other people in the team what's going on.
But then he also says things like, Bobby says, like, the kid called me a liar, and the father goes, well, you are a hypocritical liar. It's like,
you've
like,
literally told me like several times you are.
Yeah, he says stuff about he needs to be able to trust them and they need to be able to trust me, blah, blah, blah. And then the priest says to him that I have faith that God has a different plan for you. And somehow Bobby takes out of that he needs to bring his team together and be more of a family. I don't know how he comes to that conclusion. We don't get to see that thought process, but he goes and buys a whole heap of food and then brings it home.
And pots and pans.
Yeah, does he do all this like cooking in his apartment, or does he take it to the 118 itself?
Looks like he's cooking in his apartment.
I think he starts in his apartment to like practice.
Yeah, that's what I got, that he was like trying to remember how to cook.
Yeah, because it had been a while.
Yeah, okay. So he's using the skills that he has to bring people together.
It's another sort of I like this scene. I like where it gets to, but it's a clumsy segue because he's gone to the priest and said, you know, the kid called me a liar and that hurt, and the priest has gone, yeah, you're a liar. Talk to me about your team.
Yeah.
You know, do they know about your past?
Nope.
He's gone,
oh, that's okay. I'll cook for them.
No. And so he is apparently trying to show the team by cooking for them who he is. Yeah. But yeah, I don't really understand the how that plan fits in with Bobby's other plan of save 148 people and then kill myself.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't care because what comes out of the end of this
Yes.
is,
like I said, it's clumsy, it's awkward, it doesn't make sense, but it's a good little montagey scene, and we get to a good spot.
Yeah. By the end, he's cooked a bunch of food. He set the table, like 2 tables in the kitchen in the station house.
Yeah, because apparently at the beginning everybody gets to eat.
Yeah, it's not just the 118 who's eating this time.
It's not just the 8 shift. Everybody gets to eat.
All of the 118 are eating. And now they're all going to have food together in each shift, and Hen christens it family dinner.
But they're not a family.
Not yet.
So we get the new and improved Bobby in LA montage where we see him going to his AA meetings and actually participating in the meetings. We see him working on scenes, being in charge. We see him teaching Hen how to cook, or Hen's participating with cooking family dinner. We see him join in when the 118 throw a surprise bon voyage party for Tommy, who is relocating to the 217.
Yeah.
And that ties in nicely to the little scene that we had in Broken where Chim calls Tommy at the 217. So we've finally kind of closed that loop.
And they give him a cake. Is this Hen responsible for cakes in this place? Because the cake...
I think Hen is literally chief of the cake committee.
She's got such a weird sense of humour because the cake says the 217's loss is our gain.
Does it say that, or did I just write it down wrong?
No, that's what it says.
That is what it says.
It's literally what it says.
Because I remember looking at it going...
sucks to be the 217.
Did that just say what I thought it said? And I had to rewind back and have a look.
But then she was sitting in the ambulance because she and Chim were hiding in the back of the ambulance, and when Tommy opened the doors, that she and Chim pop out with balloons, and then she literally body slams Tommy into the cake.
Yeah.
And then holds him down in it for a couple of seconds.
She's like, finally, we don't have to work together ever again. I can smash this racist face into a cake.
She is working out years of pent-up aggression with a cake smash. And I'm sort of looking at him going down the cake going, Hen, you going to let him breathe at any point?
It's okay. She's a paramedic. She'll bring him back.
She can kill him and then bring him back? Yeah, okay. So
just imagining the incident report. Yeah, so we had to revive a firefighter. He drowned in cake.
Asphyxiated on buttercream frosting.
Witnesses will say he tripped and fell. Tripped and fell.
Yes.
Henrietta Wilson was upstairs at the time, washing her hands. Definitely not in the ambulance, shoving his head in.
No. But next we get to a nice little, or speaking of sort of closing the loop scenes.
Well, it really was their gain, though, in the end.
Yes, because losing Tommy means that they had an empty spot in the 118. So they're all sitting having family dinner when a familiar figure starts bouncing up the stairs and coming around to the table and heads over to Bobby and introduces himself as Evan Buckley, the new recruit.
It's Baby Buck!
Baby Buck, yay.
He's
Baby
so
Kirby Buck.
baby. And
baby.
he says to Bobby that he was told to report to Captain Nash. And I hate Bobby in this moment because Bobby looks at him
So mean.
and then he looks around the table and he goes, Captain Nash, do you know Captain Nash? Does anyone know Captain Nash? And you can just see Buck dying inside.
Yeah, Poor Baby Buck is
you
just
can
like,
just
oh fuck,
see
I'm
him.
at the wrong place. Like,
Yeah, am I at the wrong
it's
place?
The wrong
Is it the
day. I
wrong
asked for the wrong
time?
person.
Did they change? Did I not pass? Am I? And then finally,
Oh my
Bobby
god, it was
turns,
the 119 I was supposed to go to.
Bobby turns back to him and pushes out the chair and says, "Take a seat, Evan." And And Chin starts loading up a plate for him of pasta, and Buck's just like literally clutching at his pearls like, oh my god, thank god for that.
And then it's so cute because he's like, Buck, everyone just calls me Buck.
Yeah.
Bounce. Then he's like, this is amazing. Is it always like this? Because like there's just food everywhere.
And he's just been handed a plate full of pasta.
Yeah. And Hen says it's always like that, and Chim corrects, well, when Bobby's in the captain's chair.
I was going to say, if only you knew what they'd gone through to get to this point.
Yes.
And Buck says he thinks he might be in the right place. And it's just so cute. And it's interesting. So Buck literally, like, directly replaced Tommy.
Yes.
Which is interesting, because soon Eddie will be. What?
Yes.
And then we cut to today. So we catch up back to present time.
And it's such an abrupt cut, because we've gone from everyone sitting in the loft kitchen having lunch, they're laughing, it's great. And then the next cut we get of the station house is it's silent and it's empty.
Yeah, and dark, kind of
except
grey.
for Bobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the lighting changes.
Yeah.
It turns out that it must be sort of early in the morning. Bobby is sitting at the long table in his civilian clothes, and the rest of the 118 come upstairs in their duty uniforms, and Chim's all like, oh, hey, Cap, why are you up here in your civilian clothes, and why am I not smelling my breakfast? And so Bobby has to break the news to them, like, right before their shift starts, that he has been officially suspended from his duties at the 118 because of the failure to disclose what had happened in Minnesota. Yeah. And Buck is just like, what? That's insane. Why are you suspended? The Minnesota stuff is old news. And Bobby sort of,
Daddy, why?
Bobby's very patient, going, well, it's old news to you, but it's new news to them. And if they had known, there's a very good chance that they would not have hired me as captain. And they're all, everyone in the 118, very supportive. That, like, Hen's saying that he doesn't owe them that part of him. He doesn't owe anyone his history. He just owes them the record of who he's been while he's been in Los Angeles. And it's funny that they're all being very supportive, including Eddie, but I have no idea if Eddie knows what the hell is going on. I don't know if anybody has told Eddie what has happened with Bobby.
It's just really weird dialogue too, because it's like they all have just one line. They're like, your record. Buck's like, the people you've helped, and then he pipes up and he's like, the lives you've saved. And I'm like, wow, he's like, Ryan's got like
but Eddie,
one
whose
line,
job is literally to look
of
pretty.
dialogue in this episode.
Yeah, Eddie, who's literally hired to stand around and look pretty.
Yeah,
it's just like, guys, where's Minnesota? what's a Minnesota?
Yeah,
are we? Is it a type of drink? What are we talking
But seriously, did anybody sit him down and give him, like, the lore of the 118?
I'm sure Hen would have at some point, maybe. If not Hen, then it would have been
it's
Buck.
Probably Buck. Like, he
it's
can't
probably
never
Buck.
shuts
He
up at
doesn't
the
stop
best of
yapping.
time. Yeah. He would have just told him at some point.
They were driving back to Christopher's school on the second day, and Eddie's worried about his kid, and Buck's just like, oh my god, yeah, so there was this guy called Gerard, and he was awful, and now, like, Bobby's in charge. But Bobby, like, killed his entire family.
Buck had never met Gerard.
No, but he would have been told by Hen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe.
Buck just knows all the lore, it's fine. And one time Chim got a rebar through his head, and Eddie's like, can you just drive the fucking car? I don't even know why you're here. We're going to my kid's school. What is happening?
Well, regardless of whether Eddie knows what's going on or not, he's very
supportive.
He's being very supportive.
Yeah.
He's very supportive of his father-in-law.
And Bobby is all like, it doesn't matter that you guys are supportive. It doesn't matter that he knew that the truth would catch up to him one day. He says, I just figured that by the time that it did, it wouldn't matter, that he would have nothing left to lose, because he assumed that he'd be, like, up to number 135 on his list, and it's like 5 more people, and then I'm, not long for this world. So, but unfortunately, he created a new family at the 118, and he was happy, and then he threw his little book away and he got a fiance, and now it's all about to be taken away from him.
Now he's getting dragged to the empty.
And then we loop back to the beginning of the episode where he is sitting in that chair in the middle of the cinder block room, where he is apparently facing a panel who is going to make a recommendation as to whether or not he should remain a member of the LAFD. And the panelists are making sure that Bobby understands that he's entitled to have a union rep or a lawyer with him, that it's not a criminal proceeding. He says that he understands, he just wants to tell the truth. So that was present-day Bobby that we saw at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, and so not only did we start the episode on a cliff, like trying to resolve a cliffhanger, but we're in exactly the same place at the end. We know a lot more backstory now.
We made no progress forward.
No.
It's like Chim begins. Chim's still bleeding out.
Yeah.
So Bobby's been sitting in that chair for 45 minutes.
At least I haven't been on holidays in the meantime, so it hasn't been that long for him. But, yes, we're still stuck in limbo without knowing what's happened.
So, yeah, that's how the episode ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we still know nothing.
I don't know. It wasn't like there were parts of this episode that were very lighthearted and fun. Like it's like we say this every week. Like they do always have like kind of heavy stuff interspersed with much lighthearted. And I came out of the watching this episode feeling a lot happier than when I went into it, as I said at the beginning. Still very heavy kind of subject material, but my prediction for the future is that the family that he's created will come to his defense, and I haven't watched the next episode yet, so I might just be speaking complete bullshit. But he's got a lot of people now who know him well and can back him up, so I don't have any doubts about our Bobby. Also because I know he's still around like 7 seasons later, but yeah.
Interesting.
No, this is it. He gets fired and he doesn't come back. I don't know who you... And then his twin brother comes.
They just hired another white cis man.
No, identical twin. It's still Peter Krauser.
Oh.
And they look exactly the same. His name is also Bobby because all the men in his family are just called Bobby. Like even Bobby's son is Bobby.
Yes. Well, I mean, we've got two episodes to go. We've only got 18 in the whole season.
2 episodes to go.
So 2 episodes to go.
2 episodes left.
So before we finish the season, we need you guys, the listeners, to send us your feedback on season 2. Tell us what you loved about this season, what you didn't like, who's your favourite character, your favourite storyline. Tell us all about that stuff.
Get ready to hear Ellen's predictions about what happens.
Oh, God.
In season 3.
Okay, so we need to know, I think this episode will be going out at the beginning of November, but we need all of the feedback in by the 15th of November, which is a Friday. So that will be Thursday for the Americans and probably some of Europe. I don't know.
Europeans. Yeah.
That will be the 15th of November in Australia. Is when we're going to be when we are looking at recording our wrap-up episode. So we'll need all of your feedback by then, please. And in the meantime, you can also tell us what you thought of this episode. And, like I say this every time, all the ways you can get in touch with us, you can send us DMs on social media. We are That Weewoo Show at all of those. Or you can email us, contact@thatweewooshow.com. You can find all of the other details on our website, which is just thatweewooshow.com. What is coming up next week? The penultimate episode of the season.
Next week we have Be Careful What You Wish For. And Athena gets her detective on and investigates a series of mail bomb explosions. While she's doing that, the first responders deal with a calamity at a chocolate factory. Meanwhile, Eddie receives some surprising news from Shannon. Maddie contemplates her future at the call centre, and tragedy strikes the 118.
Uh-oh.
Triggers for next week's episode, we have car accident, we have minor character death, we have mental illness and discussion of suicide, we have package bombs and injuries caused by package bombs, and suicide attempt via jumping.
It's always hard doing, like, the bridge episodes. Because it's a good episode, but, like, it's part of... It's almost like a 3-parter finale.
Yeah, and also I think part of the reason why this episode is difficult to kind of talk about in some ways is that we've already had a Bobby origin episode. This is like just a continuation of his, origin story. So I guess, yeah, it's great to hear about more of his backstory, but we already know a lot of it already.
Yeah, it doesn't bring anything new to the table.
No, I mean, it does close the gap on what happened with Sal and Tommy, like why they're not there anymore.
But we didn't really need to know that information.
No,
because we'd survived an entire season without Sal and Tommy. I certainly was not being kept up late at night wondering why Tommy suddenly wasn't at the 118 after we first met him in Hen Begins.
Unfortunately for Tommy and Sal, they are both quite forgettable characters, generally speaking. So
if only.
So far.
If only people forgot about them a little bit more.
They just keep coming back.
To be fair, I don't think we've ever seen Sal again.
Well, yeah.
Although, having said that, somewhere in a writer's room, someone's gone, hey, do you remember that guy from, like, season 2? No, the other one from season 2.
Eddie? No, the one that's only in season...
All right.
But I do, yeah.
Oh. You do?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Okay.
Fair.
I will save whatever thought I was trying to come up with for not next week, the week after.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good place for it. Okay.
Oh, I'm interested in what's coming now. I'll find out sooner or later. I may just watch the next 2 episodes back to back so that I finish the season and then...
I think you might need to.
Okay, more cliffhangers?
Yeah, just do them back to back.
Okay. All right.
That's what I'm planning on doing.
Yeah, you can contact us in all of the ways that they're all listed on the website, and just come and yell at us about... Oh, yeah, don't forget to yell at Bex and Alice about season 8, because they need to hear all about all of the yelling about what's going on.
So much yelling about season 8.
Okay, don't tell me. I'm trying to stay spoiler-free. I'm doing an okay job of spoiler-free at the moment, but,
Yeah, poor Ellen cannot go near my Twitter anymore.
No.
Because it is all just spoilers.
It kind of sucks because I really want to interact more with 911 accounts, and I can't because I'm just going to see stuff that I don't want to see.
Yeah, none of us are subtle about spoilers.
No.
That's okay. All right, well, we'll wrap it up there then. Thank you all for listening. And we will see you next week to talk about episode 17, Be Careful What You Wish For. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
911 is a fictional show, but many of the situations portrayed happen in the real world too. If any of the topics we've discussed in this episode have affected you, please know you're not alone. You can call or text numbers in your country for help. Just Google crisis support in your location to find out the number. If you enjoy our podcast, you can help us out by leaving us a review on Spotify or your preferred listening app, and by sharing our social media posts. Find out more at thatweewooshow.com.
I do like that the priest's response is that he's a sinner who wags his fin at... He's a sinner
He wags his
Shush.
what?
You're a
I'm going
poet and you didn't know it.
I'm going to get there. Shush. He says that he is a sinner who wags his fingers at other sinners. Oh my god, no. No, I'm going to do it this time. Shush. He says that he is a sinner who wags his finger at other sinners. So, welcome to hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm just going to throw the dogs outside.
Just chuck them out.
Oh, I don't know what they're... What? 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 She's heard something out there. I have no idea what's out there, but apparently it's good. What? So she's running to the door, barking at it, and then running to me and barking at me, and then running back to the door.
Oh.
She wants you to go outside.
She's like, Mum, come look! Mum!
They sit down at the table. Ah, shit.
Like,
Hang on, we've lost Beck.
oh no, the internet. Okay, I guess we can catch up. Hopefully it won't take too long to come back again. Okay, so they sit down to bleh. They sit down to dinner.
Maybe we should just wait.
We're struggling without you. Come back. Oh, this scene was so sad too.
This scene really confused me. Like, Mum was like, when is this? And I'm like, I don't fucking know, Mum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe she wrote notes for us again, like some sort of saviour person. I don't know. I'm not very good at bitching about Vex. Is she back?
Are
Told
you
you
back?
guys to keep going.
Oh,
No,
back.
we tried.
tried
We tried to keep going, but it just didn't work.
Ellen
We
forgot
needed-
how to speak English, so we
Yeah, I
just
know.
decided to wait.
And then we figured we'd probably better wait.
We tried so hard.
I've got notes there.
I know.
No, it was literally just Ellen forgot to speak how to speak English.
I was like, can't speak anymore. Anyway, now Bex is back, we can continue.
How far did you get before you
Oh
started
no, not
speaking
far at all.
Russian?
They're
Literally
still,
the line
they're
up.
still eating dinner. I was just gonna say.
It's like, we're a family, you know?
And then I was like, that's it, I can't speak until people come back.